stream చేయి. Rest of the part చెప్దాం ఇట్లా interruptions అయినాయి. అండ్ గొడవ రికార్డ్ అయిందా?
అదే తీసేసిన.
Interrupted. Breakdown has been interrupted in second and later on. Watch breakdown has been interrupted once again. Replaced with another watch. Happen again, spelling wrong. Again, and we have replaced with another watch. Thank you. అదైపోయిందా? ఈ దీంట్లో ఉన్నావా? సరే సరే స్టార్ట్ చేయి. సో కండిషన్ దీంట్లో ఉన్నాను, చాలా ఉన్నాను. సరే జాబ్స్ చూసి డైవర్ట్ అయినట్టు.
Which is the abstract parent class of file writer?
Stream writer. Right.
Which class is used to read streams of characters from a file?
File writer.
Which class is used to read streams of raw bytes from a file?
File stream 710.
What is the parent class of file input stream?
Input stream
710. Next. Which methods of pattern class have equivalent methods in string class?
Split and matches.
Can we compare integers by using equals in Java?
Yes, the wrapper class has integer but not for the primitive int.
What is comparator interface used for?
The purpose of comparator interface is to compare objects of the same class to identify the sorting order, sorting collections, sorting classes. Tree set and tree map have been designed such looks for this method to identify the sorting order. That is why classes need to implement comparator interface and qualify its objects to be the part of the sort collections.
And which are sorted collections? Which are the sorted collections?
Tree set and tree map.
What is the rule regarding overriding equals and hash code method?
A class must override the hash code method, which overriding equals method.
And what is the difference between collection and collections?
Collection is an interface, whereas collections is a utility class.
Is Java statically typed or dynamically typed language?
Statically typed.
What do you mean by Java statically typed language?
It means the type of variables are checked at the compile time. In Java, the main advantage here is all kinds of checking can be done by the compiler and hence will reduce the bugs.
So, how can we reserve the order in tree map?
Using the collection of the reverse order map tree, new tree map.
And tree map orders the elements of which field?
Wait, keys.
How tree map orders these elements if the key is a string?
The string elements comparable. It refers to the string compares to the method to identify the order relationship among these elements.
Can we have heterogeneous elements in tree map?
No, sorted collections don't allow the addition of heterogeneous elements as they are not comparable.
Will it create any problem if we add elements with the key user defined object in tree map?
And won't create any problem. The objects are comparable, i.e., we have find the class implementation comparable interface.
And can we null keys in tree map?
No results in exception.
Can value be null in tree map?
Yes.
Which interface tree map implements? Which interface tree map implements?
Tree map implements navigatable map, sorted map, serializable, and clonable.
Do we have form beans in structs too?
Do we have?
Form beans in structs too?
No, because they are not longer required, as no action causes or no more singleton in struts 2. User inputs can be captured in any action itself.
What is concurrent hash map?
Concurrent?
Hash map.
The concurrent hash map is a hash map that allows the concurrent modifications from the multiple threads as there are be multiple threads locks on the same hash map.
Where getter setter methods can be directly changing and retrieve fields.
The methods can be participated in the runtime polymorphism, whereas the members variables cannot. The validations cannot perform before setting the variables. If the input format changes, that can be absorbed by making change in the setter and the getter.
Can we overload main method in Java?
730 change. Yes, but the overloaded main methods without a single string argues doesn't get any special status by JVM. They are just another methods that they need to be called explicit.
What the bean scopes provided by Spring?
Singleton, prototype, request, session, global session.
What are the various auto wiring types in Spring?
By name, by type, and by constructor. The difference between first level and second level cache in Hibernate. The first level cache is enabled by default, whereas the second level cache needs to enable explicit. The first level cache came with the Hibernate 1.0, whereas the second level cache came with the Hibernate 3.0. The first level cache is session specific, whereas the second level cache is shared by the sessions. As far as the first level cache is concerned, local, and the second cache is considered global. What are the methods to clear cache in Hibernate? Evict and clear. Evict is used to clear a particular object from the Apache, whereas the clears the complete local cache. What are the different types of second level cache? Shall we continue? Continue. What are the different types of second level cache? EH cache, OS cache, Swarm cache, the tree cache. Next one. Can we discuss the first level cache? What should one do if we don't want to? No, we can either all evict after all object revertible, or can use separate sessions. How to configure the second level cache in Hibernate? The configure provides the Hibernate configuration file at cache use touch read only and read write. In mapping files, HBM create an XML called attach files XML and place in the class path which contain the time settings and the update settings, behavior of catch, lifetime, and the idle time of POJOs, how many objects are allowed.
What is Hibernate?
Hibernate is a Java ORM framework. Noticing.
What are the advantages of Hibernate?
No need to SQL and RDBMS and the DB schema underlying the database can be changed without much effort by changing SQL data, dialect and DB connection. Improved performance by means of coaching. You want to know that?
What are the different types of inheritance in Hibernate?
Tables per class, tables per subclass, tables per concrete class.
What is the purpose of delete configured in Hibernate configuration?
It tells the frameworks which SQL's variant to generate.
What are different types of associations in Hibernate?
The 4 types of associations in Hibernate: one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-one, many-to-many.
What are the configuration files in Hibernate?
The Hibernate XML, the main configuration files, HBM and the XML files.
What are the contents of Hibernate configuration file?
The contents: HBM files mapping, DB connection, connection strings, username, password, tool size, SQL data, dialect, SQL variant can be generated, show SQL, no show, SQL on console, auto commit, true or false.
What are the core interfaces of Hibernate framework?
Configure, session factory, session transition, query, and Citrica.
What are the collection types in Hibernate?
Bag, set, list, array, and map.
Difference between load and get. What is the difference between load and get?
It doesn't exist in the DB load throws and the exception, whereas get returns the null that in case makes a call to the DB immediately, whereas the load makes the call to the proxy.
What is lazy fetching in Hibernate?
The lazy fetching, the technique is not loading the child objects when the parent objects are loaded, but the default Hibernate does not loaded child objects. One can specify whether to load them or not, doing well the association.
Different types of Hibernate instance states.
The transient in the state, an instant is not associated with the persistent contest. The persistence in the state, an instant is associated with the persistent consent. Detached is the state for an instance which is previously associated with the persistence context and has been currently closed, dissociated.
Is it good to use reflection in an application? Why?
No, it's like challenging the design of application.
Why is reflection so?
Because it has inspect metadata in the bytecode instead of just saying the pre-compiled address and consistent and context.
When should we use prototype scope and singleton scope for beans?
We should use the singleton scopes of the beans, and we have the stateless in the prototype when we call stateful.
Difference between assert and verify.
The assert works only the assertion EA and enables which cannot be required for the verify. Assertion throws on exception and hence it doesn't continue with the test as if assertion evaluates to false, whereas it's not so with verily.
What is the difference between array list and linked list?
The underlying data structure of the array list in array, whereas the linked list in the linked list, and the hence having column the difference. The array list need to continue the memory allocation and hence need to be moved to the biggest space. If the few elements are to be added to a filled area which is not required to the linked list, removal and the insertion at a specified array list requires to move all the elements and hence lead to the ON insertions and the removal, whereas the constant ON link is for linked list. The random access using the distance index of array list is faster than the linked list, which requires the traversing the complete list through reference through linear search uh, takes similar for the time both binary search and the linker requires creating a new model binary search trees which is slower but offers consistent time insertion and deletion. For a set of integers, you want to search with quicksort. It's probably faster to use an array. For a set of larger structures, you want to store some selection sort. A linked list will be less lighter, faster. Static and transient. Sorry.
Which class elements are not
Static
persistent?
and transient.
Which annotations are used in Hibernate?
Answers: entity, table, ID, column, temporal, basic, enumerated, access, embeddable, log, attribute, override, embedded, generic value, element, collection, join table, join column, join collection ID, generic generator, one to one, one to many, many to one, many to many, not found. Perfect English నాకు 750 కల్లా నేను కంక్లూడ్ చేసిన 5 minutes.
8.1 What entries we can make in the Hibernate config file? A config file if we are not using in HPF files but annotation show.
We configure entity class having annotated images.
How many sessions, factories and session objects are created?
Session singles factory objective and multiple sessions objectives and opening different sessions. Hibernate creates a new session per thread.
What is the D2 rollback transaction if something goes wrong using Hibernate API?
We can have the code calling the Hibernate API, try within the block, and we have the transaction, the rollback within the catch.
What is the use of HBM to DDI configuration in Hibernate?
The configuration specifies if Hibernate will create the schema and the table on its own. If it represents the table is not found, updated doesn't create the table if it not found, whereas the configuration and this creates schema automatically.
What are the different ID generation strategies using a generated value annotation?
Auto, identity, sequence and the table.
How to do eager loading in Hibernate?
Using lazy is equal to false in Hibernate configure file or basic fetch or fetch type eager at the mapping.
What is lazy initialization in Hibernate?
It is a feature to the lazy initialization dependency relationship and association from the database. Any related references marked as one to many, many to one are loaded lazily, i.e. when they are accessed and not when the parent is loaded.
What are the different ways to avoid lazy initialization exception?
Set lazy, false is an Hibernate configure file. Set @basic, fetch is equal to fetch type, eager at the mapping. Make sure that we are accessing the dependent objects before closing the session using the fetch join in the HQ value.
What is cascade?
Instead of saving the parent as well as the child entities individual, Hibernate provides the option to persist and delete the related entities when the parent is persisted.
What are the different cascade types?
Detach, merge, persist, remove and refresh.
Which type of associated entities are eagerly loaded by default?
One to one.
After which Hibernate version related to entities are initialized by lazily?
After Hibernate 3.0.
Can we declare an entity class as final?
Yes. The Hibernate creates the proxy classes inherited from the entity classes to communicate with the database. For the lazy initialization, declaring entity classes as final will prohibit communications with the database lazily and hence will be performance hit. Difficult. Okay.
What are the restrictions for entity classes?
Entity classes should have default constructor. Entity classes should have declared on final. All elements should be persisted. You have declared private and should have public getters and setters. In the Java Bean styles, all classes should have an ID that maps to primary cell for the table. జీతో
ఇంకొన్నాను.
ఓకే ఓకే సరే కార్యం వెళ్ళు అట్లే.
What are the difference between intex and intex?
No differences, both are acceptable way to declare an array.
What are the annotations used in JUnit with JUnit for?
Test. The test annotation indicates the public void method which is attached can be run as the test case before. The before annotation indicates the method to be executed before each test in the class so as executed some preconditions necessary for the test. Before class. The before class annotations indicated that the static method to which attached must be executed once before all tests in the class. After annotation indicates the method gets executed of the execution of each test after class. The after class annotation can be used when the method needs to be executed after executing all the tests in the JUnit test cases classes so as clean up the setup. The ignore annotations can be used when the temporarily disable the execution of the specific test.
What is asynchronous I/O?
It is a form of input-output processing that permits other processing to continue before I/O transmission has finished.
If there is a conflict between base class method definition and interface default method definition, which definition is picked?
Before class definition.
What are the new features introduced with Java 8?
The lambda expressions, the interface default, and the static methods, the method reference, parameters, name, optional, streams, concurrency.
And can we have a default method without a body? One second.
No, compiler will give the error.
Does Java allow implementation of multiple interfaces having default methods with the same name and signature?
No, compilation error.
What are the default methods?
With the Java 8, we can provide the methods definition in the interfaces that gets carried down the classes implementing that the interfaces in case they are not overridden by the class default. Keyword default is used to mark the default methods.
Can we have a default method definition in the interface without specifying keyword default?
No, compiler complains that it is an abstract method and hence it shouldn't be have the body. Uh, 488.
Can we use static method definitions in interfaces?
Yes, effective Java 8.
Can we access interface static method using interface references?
No, only use the interface name.
Can we have default method with the same name signatures in derived interface as static method, base interface and vice versa?
Yes, we can do as the static method and are accessible using the references and hence cannot lead to the conflict. We can do the inverse as the default methods can be overridden as the static methods in the derived interface.
What is lambda expression? What its use?
It's an anonymous method without a declaration. Lambda expression are useful to write the shorthand code and hence save the effort of writing the lengthy code. It promotes the developer productivity, better readable and reliable code.
Difference between predicate, supplier and consumer.
Hello Java 8. Okay. Predicate represents an anonymous function that accepts an argument and produces as a result. A supplier represents an anonymous function that accepts no argument and produces a result. Consumer represents an anonymous function that accepts an argument and produces no result.
What does the following lambda expression means?
Hello Java, it receives an integer and argument that returns when the modules of that integer.
What is the difference between name node and data node in Hadoop?
The name node stores metadata, a number of blocks on which data node is stored, etc., whereas the data node stores the actual data.
Write a program to see if the number is perfect or not. Difference between a pointer and a reference.
We can get the addresses of the references like the pointer. Moreover, we can perform the pointer arithmetic with references.
Difference between the TCP and UDP. Okay. What things you would care about to improve the performance of applications if it is identified that it's DB communication that needs to be improved?
The query optimization, query writing, and the prepared statements, read instruction, index and DB caching, turning its user ORCAM, and identifying the problems with the ORM strategy.
Consumption. So I will be discussing about the quiz. Okay. Consumption was the former name of which disease?
Tuberculosis.
Which American state is nicknamed the Diamond State?
Delaware.
What are the Circo, Mr. and Chinook?
Winds.
Who wrote about Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory?
Rhode Island.
Who at USA Customs declared nothing but my genius?
Oscar Wilde.
Issuer Daniel Watch became the famous Who?
Miss Douglas.
Who sailed in Golden Hind?
Sir Francis Drake.
What was the name of plantation in Gone? In Gone with the Wind.
Thara.
Who won 1988 Super Bowl?
Washington Redskins.
Which groups believe the great architects of universe?
Freemasons.
Robert Allen Zimmerman, real name of who?
Bob Dylan.
Processed guarana produces which metal?
Lead.
Who wrote Gulliver Travels?
John Swift.
What is haha?
Something pen.
In Japan, what is spekku?
Heretical Society.
Who discovered blood circulation?
William Harvey.
The dunnock is another name for which common bird?
Hedgehog Sparrow.
If someone said they were from Hellas, which country?
Greece.
Hellas. Who was the son of Zeus in Maya god messenger?
Hermes.
Royce Schneider Jr. becomes the famous as who?
Rock Hudson.
Who wrote Brave New World?
Aldous Huxley.
What linked Calabria, Liguria, Puligia and Vento?
Regions of Italy.
Which country is in Rajasthan was which city in Rajasthan has riding breeches named after it?
Jaipur.
Portugal has had 6 kings. What was with the first name?
Jonah.
What marital arts names means the gentle way?
Judo.
Jane Kelly famous in which sport?
Skiing.
Kimberlite contains the precious item.
Diamonds.
Who directed Doctors Traveling 2001 The Shilling?
Stanley Kubrick.
Rene Lacquier, an art of Nouveau designer, worked with material.
Glass.
Who created the children's land of Narnia and the Lion with Barcode?
Water of Ravi. Lyrics established leaves. English narrative established more.
What animals lives in a tray? What?
Fairy.
Why is Louis Brown born 1978 famous?
The first text to
The title of whose books translate as My Struggle?
Adolf Hitler.
The title of whose books, Anna Mary Robinson, famous American painter, what name?
Grand Moses.
In which country would you find the Negev desert?
Israel.
Which character has been played by most actors?
Sherlock Holmes.
What is the capital of Sicily?
Sherlock Holmes.
Hey.
ఏదో ఒకటి నాకు తెలిసిన
In Greek mythology, a Hamdra spirit guarded what?
trees.
Jocasta was the wife of Laius, then the mother of who?
What is this?
Who wrote The Right of Man, The Age of Reason?
Thomas Paine.
What is the capital of Sicily?
Carolina.
What was invented by Dr. Edward Land in 1947?
Polaroid.
Syed Bharti, Roger Waters, Richard Wright, Nick Manson Group.
Pink Floyd.
Carlo Collodi created which famous children's character?
Uranium. Pinko.
What is the mainly extracted from pitch blende?
Uranium.
Which connects default straws Wedgwood Chesla?
Porcelain.
Which is the country introduced the world's first diesel loco in 1912?
Germany.
In 1656, Christian Huygens invented the type of timekeeper.
Pendulum clock.
Diwali, Dirsha and the Holi are the religious days in which religion?
Hindu.
In what industry did John Davidson Rockefeller get rich?
Oil.
The Maoists were terrorists in which country led 50 airlies?
Kenya. నాకు రకరకాల డిసీజ్ వస్తుంది బాబు కొందరు నేను అసలు చూసలేకపోతున్నా బాబు మళ్ళీ బ్రేక్ తీసుకుంటాను బాబు నేను కూర్చోలేకపోతుంది తిమ్మిడి ఎక్కువ.
What movie cast includes James Garner, Richard Attenborough, Steve McQueen, Charles Bronson, Donald Cranston, James Coburn, Gord Jackson, Angus McPhee, among many others?
Great Escape.
If you suffer from epistax, what is wrong?
Nosebleed.
If we took in which book would you find the Marston passport?
Around the world in 80s.
What animal's name translates as waterhouse?
Hippopotamus.
In Greek mythology, who killed